creating content and piggybacking, you're using someone else's content to create your own, and you can use your content to substitute in lieu of theirs, you probably are violating fair use. If you're using it as, let's say, satire, or using, footage to review or parody, then, that should be qualified as totally cool under fair use. But if someone can look at your product and you're using someone else's footage or content, and they can do that and not have to look at someone else's, I would feel that would violate fair use.
It's almost like a case-by-case basis. I know of certain reaction channels, one of them being The Real Rejects, who the content that he posts, he actually cuts down the actual video. So in his reaction, he doesn't show the full video. He just shows portions of it, or he does other things to kind of force the viewer to click the original video in his description or to watch the original video. And I think that's what a lot of reaction videos are starting to do now.
When it comes to taking other people's ideas on YouTube, I personally think it could be okay if you give the person credit. And it's kind of almost flattering to be a YouTuber and see someone else kind of take one of your ideas and make it their own. But there's definitely a very thin line, and if there's no credit given to that YouTuber, then I don't really agree with it. But I think it can be done the right way, and maybe if you're friends with that YouTuber, if you know that person, and you can ask them for permission to take that idea, then it'll make it a little bit better.
From what I understand of YouTube is that they can put so many different claims against you, and I believe you can only move against 3 or so at a time. So if you have multiple claims against you or someone's trying to flood you with it, it makes it really hard through YouTube currently to fight it.
Now I've just gotten so used to royalty-free stuff that I don't even think about ever using mainstream music. I feel like that's a thing that you come into YouTube being really disappointed about when you start making videos. That's a mistake that a lot of new YouTubers will do. They'll just put music in the background of their video that you hear on the radio and stuff. When a big company claims your video on YouTube, it's always stressful. Like when I get that email, my heart stops because I always think it's gonna be a copyright strike or something. But the good news is most of the time it's not. They'll just take the monetization. And I'm always scared when I do a music video nowadays. I will rarely do it, but last year at VidCon, I did this fun BookTube Bad Blood music video, and I spent so much time on it. It was such a stressful thing trying to get it together at VidCon. But I didn't monetize it or anything because I knew I wasn't allowed to. But I was just really scared that they'd just take it down after all that. And I don't mind just having it there with the monetization going to Taylor Swift. Just please don't take it down. So I would recommend just not using mainstream music. I mean, it's always a risk, and unless you have some way to get special permission to use it, it's really difficult.
I wish it wasn't a thing on YouTube because it would make entertainment so much easier if you didn't have to pay a company a big amount of money to use their stuff, but I also understand why people would be upset. And I think I would be upset as well.
I personally think when it comes to music, it's kind of silly to be all copyright claimy about things because it's just music, and Taylor Swift's version of a song is wildly different than my version of a song, and if the consumer wants both, let them have both. So I don't think it's a big deal, but I understand why people get their chonies in a twist.
At the end of the day, it's what matters in the eyes of the law. So you kind of got to play by the rules of the law. So if you're trying to argue fair use, I would look up what fair use means and try and cater, like on YouTube you have to make a claim. So look up very specifically what fair use means and try and file your claim as specifically as possible, catering to what the government views as fair use.
Be very careful, be as careful as you can, because you are putting in a lot of work to create these videos. So I guess it's really tough. I mean, I would say do the best you can, but it's kind of murky right now, at least how it's disputed.
If you're going to use it, it should be fair.
It has to be fair.
And I think that's probably why they call it that. And I think if you're not going to be like that, then there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the facts, okay? Using stuff fairly. Everything's important.
Unfairly, and then that's when you get into the fair zone. That's when fair comes back and says, no, I'm here too.